Savage. Bam. Somebody go over here? Huh? That's what they call me.
All right.
Look at him.
Mary, put that down.
No, he looks so good. He was like this. You have to stay back in there. You know what you're doing. You know what you was doing. Don't be acting like you don't know. You hear me? Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Kim. We're rocking in the show. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio. And of course, I'm sitting in the air-conditioned studio at Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. I'm in the studio with my girl, Heidi Jenkins, and we are talking politics today.
Always talking politics. Life is good when we're talking politics.
Amen, amen. Amir is still in the house, so we're trying to get Amir under control. Yes, for those who don't know, we've got the king trying to get bad in here. Yeah.
You think you're running this?
Yeah, he does. Sorry if you can't see. We are streaming live in the studio. If you have the Independent Talk 1100 KFNX app, you can see us. You can hear us live on the app as well.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
I love it.
I love it. And while we're talking on the show, if you have anything that you'd like to say, the number is 602-277-5369. That's 602-277-KFNX.
Yes.
Today we are talking about tenant versus landlord.
I think this is going to be an interesting show because a lot of things have been happening lately.
Yes.
You know, with both of us, with tenants and landlords.
Yes.
You know, with both of us looking for places. And
yes.
I've lived in my spot for like 15 years.
Yes.
And my landlord decided he doesn't want to be a landlord anymore.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to be doing a lease to own.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't remember that.
Oh, how convenient.
I know. And it's so weird because, like, when you trust somebody and you pay them every month to live there, and that's where you live, that place doesn't become just a place, it becomes your home. Oh, look, who's running this house?
Yeah, somebody's thinking they're running the house.
Somebody's going to pay an electricity bill this month.
I know.
So, yeah. But, you know, back to my landlord situation, you know, it's just really weird how things can happen. They can turn on you when you think that they're a friend and you have trust in your landlord.
Yes.
You know, whether you've known them for years or just on a, you know, new basis.
Yes.
Like with your situation.
Well, I wanted to start out because we were supposed to start, you know, previously. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to start out talking about the revolution. You know, I'm a revolution kind of girl.
We know that.
Especially when it comes to politics. But today the Lord was calling me to talk about this. And so primarily the underlying premise of the show is that landlords are defrauding the community by defrauding the law.
Right.
And I know this sounds like, I don't want to say crazy, but if you are a tenant, if you own a home, all of these things that we're going to talk about apply because the end goal is for me to tell you the tools that you have to resolve any conflicts that you have, whether it was with the bank, the mortgage company, or with your landlord.
Right, true.
I think my issue is that the consumer, the tenants, the homeowners are really being cheated, you know, in the last few decades. Now more than ever, because now what businesses are doing is part of the bottom line profit is where they're cheating us out of our money. Whether it's Bank of America, where they charge me $2.50 just to look at my balance.
Right. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Or when you go to pay a fine and they have a filing fee. Yes. Shouldn't that have been applied in the beginning?
I think so.
You knew you was going to have to file that. I knew you was going to have to file it. Can I come back there and file it?
Exactly.
I'll just keep the $3 myself?
Well, my concern when you're talking about politics is, you know, my mother just purchased a house recently, and she was going through Wells Fargo, and I told her you should be able to get XYZ programs. Well, not only did they not offer any programs or any discounts, they offered her nothing. And I told her, I said, you know, there's one thing about when you're going into a bank or a public facility, and you see there is no, I don't want to say variety, but I want to say cultural differences amongst the staff. And then when you see how people are treated differently, it's a problem for me. Yes. So I told my mother to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau as well as the Attorney General. And whoop, Wells Fargo had a problem and they lost their BBB rating.
Darn.
Yes.
That really cuts people's businesses when they get that BBB.
Yes.
rating.
Well, that's why we're here, because
that really does make a difference.
I don't think a lot of us understand how this works. So being that this is Phoenix Politics, what I'm going to do is we're going to use this segment, this hour, to kind of inform you and to equip you with the tools that, whether it's the mortgage company, whoever is charging you to live where you live, you want to know your rights.
Right. Especially with HOAs too.
Yes.
Along with that.
And it's not that we can go over all of them.
No, we don't have time for that.
No. We're just talking about some of the tools available to you that you can utilize to resolve conflicts.
And I've made a list too of anyone you can call at Arizona Tenants.
Yes. Yes.
Advocates. They're really, really good. They're in Tempe, and they'll help you with anything.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay, so to start this off, my landlord unfairly evicted me about a month ago. And I say unfairly, but truthfully, my landlord towed my car. And then when I asked if they tow my car because they paved the lot, they said, no, we didn't tow it. So I got a letter like 2 weeks later from Motor Vehicle saying your car was towed. Called the company. Sure enough, it was towed by my landlord. Well, that began the battle of me everything just snowballing out of control. Mm-hmm. And the end result was the first time that they attempted to do the eviction proceeding, they hadn't given me notice. And I had been trying to get the money. Not trying to get the money. The money was being sent to me in a check versus direct deposit.
Yes.
So it took a couple days. And so I had informed them, and I thought I was working with them. So I didn't get a notice, didn't get a 5-day notice. I just got the constable showing up at my door. And when the constable came, he said, you're like the 5th person that we've gone to today from this landlord that's telling us the same story you're telling, so I'm going to let you stay so you can fight it in court.
And he doesn't want to kick you out because he sees that it's when a landlord does do things over continuously, then they're repetitive neglect is what it is.
Yes. Well, what it is I was trying to wait for my check, and I couldn't get my check in an emergency fashion without a 5-day notice. Well, I asked her for the 5-day notice, and she hadn't given me one nor responded. So by law,
that's illegal.
Yeah. And so by law, when the constable came, I said I hadn't been given a notice. And she informs me, well, it was sent in the mail. So there were so many issues in the law that
it has to be served to your door.
Exactly.
And someone has to either sign for it. There's no just mailing it. There's no certified.
Well, that's what I thought until I got to court, because I was, I was determined, and I got to court and I figured, okay, I've got this under control because I got the act. And it was different because the judge told me things that I'm like, whoa, what do you mean I don't have to have been, they didn't have to serve me? Wait, so they knew what was going on, because the reason why my money isn't here is because of circumstances involving the landlord. And I didn't get a 5-day notice, and that's okay. Yes, you don't have to be served. They just have to attempt it. I'm like, oh my goodness, excuse me. And then as we're doing the trial, and I've got a law background, there were things that the judge was asking me to do, like present things in evidence. Yes. And I was a nervous wreck.
Submit evidence.
Yeah, and he says, you have to do this like a lawyer. Well, my question to the judge is, how many other tenants, consumers, know the law?
Everyday Joe.
Yes, very few.
They don't.
So and I said, the Landlord-Tenant Act then is very unfair, because what you're saying is the landlord has a lawyer, and the lawyer has equipped the landlord to know what to do.
Yes.
Whether it be, I was told, well, even though you gave them notice, it had to be certified, signed. Yes, on my side.
On our side, as the tenant, we have to have it signed, notarized, a blood sample.
Exactly.
But the landlord can sit there just because he owns a property.
Yes.
Can act like he is so superior.
Well, it's the same thing.
I'm paying for
exactly
for your maintenance. I know you're a landlord, but still.
Well, it's even with the mortgage company. So my mom wasn't offered any programs or services to help with down payments. I mean, even if she didn't qualify, she wasn't offered anything.
Yes.
And the issue is that there is a form of discrimination going on. And it's more economic class. So I don't want to say...
probably towards women, too.
Yes. Well, when I filed a discrimination complaint against the landlord said, we didn't know you, so how could we discriminate? They don't understand that you don't have to know someone is disabled if you discriminate. It's still...
discrimination
against a disabled person.
Right.
And that's very frightening to them. But, I mean...
Boy.
Amir.
Yes.
Yes. So we've been kind of living in this cross mode. But I've been fighting it the whole time, because here's the real deal. I wasn't the only one who was evicted twice.
Yes.
And I wasn't the only one who was unfairly evicted.
She's got 5 of you at one time.
Oh, exactly. And
how are you bringing that revenue?
Well, and my thing is, fairness has to be across the board. So, I had explained to them that my only purpose is, if you've brought an injury about to someone, so even when I said you hadn't served me, or when mother said, things hadn't been done correctly. No one attempted to fix it. So that's what we're talking about next. We're getting ready to come back.
Right.
Yes, how to make it right. So when we come back, whether it's the bank, whether it's the landlord, our job here is to equip you with the tools you need to get the job done. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio, and I don't get off the air until you know what to do
next.
Amen. See you in a few minutes in Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah.
Now you want it all the time.
He wants to be bad. He wants to be bad.
You better be good. Don't be acting crazy when we're on the air. Otherwise, you're going to get booted and scooted. I'll get you a bandana and some ropes and put you in that corner. Be good. Mm.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, hold on.
You gotta be quiet.
Here, I got your chips.
Quiet out.
Where's your chips, man?
All right. You got some chips? Chill out. Don't start, dude.
We have to wait a minute. What you want?
You got a pen? So we can write down Arizona Tenant so we can get the number, you know what I mean? So people can call. Ding, ding, ding.
Thank me?
Ding, ding, ding.
Thank me?
Ding, ding, ding.
Where's the chips I just brought you?
See, all these commercials right now, they need to be our commercials.
I know. Yeah, I thought I had some candy. Oh my gosh, oh, here you got some of these. You don't have any candy, Heidi?
Of course I got candy.
Heidi got candy.
Oh, I took that bag out. But you know what? You a problem child. You are not getting my bed of honeys. I don't care. Look, here you go.
Hello, hello, hello. We're back again. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio. I am your host, Dr. Kim, and this is Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. It's beautiful today in Arizona, well, in Phoenix, and I'm just like loving the weather. How about you, Heidi?
It's a beautiful day.
Yes,
I love it. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday, happy Sunday.
Yes.
So how are things going with you, Heidi?
Great. I'm happy. I woke up at 11. It's good. It's a happy Sunday. We're going to barbecue today.
Oh, wow, wow. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about us. Phoenix Politics Talk Radio. This is like our third season. We took like a season or two off, and we're coming back strong, but we've had a little slow point. But now you're seeing what the slow point was caused by. And our goal here is to give our listeners the knowledge to get it done. And I mean everything from, you know, I've been able to advise individuals how to beat everything from the landlord to the mortgage company to, I mean, I could name it off the list, but our goal is just to give you what you need to represent and advocate for yourself.
Yes, to help you out.
Yeah, so I'm not just here talking about politics and political regimes. I'm really talking about how we can use the political system here in Arizona and America.
Work to your benefit.
Exactly.
And that's what's most important.
Yes, exactly.
Because they're here, but they're not really doing anything, and they can't do anything unless we say something.
Yes. Well, that's the whole point. How do we say something? When do we say something? Now, we're talking about today that landlords defrauding the law. And the reason why I say that is because recently, in my own eviction hearing, and I know most people would say, what? In my own hearing, when I was fighting, I'm like thinking to myself, something's not right. In court with the landlord, there were more than 7 times, I documented it, where my landlord had actually
violated the law.
Lied to me. Well, in the legal terms, it's defrauding.
Yeah.
Where they had actually defrauded me and told me one thing, and then I was able to demonstrate proof. And because it hadn't been entered into evidence correctly, the judge said I couldn't bring it in. Well, that's not the issue. The issue is what is going on where landlords do not want to uphold their responsibilities.
Yes.
Yet the tenants are not only being held responsible.
Yes, for their own actions when they're held to a double standard.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it's more than just being held to a double standard. The law is there to protect not one party, but both parties.
Yes, but they say that in Arizona it's a landlord state. and it doesn't matter what we walk in there with, what evidence. We could have paid all our bills and, you know what I mean, and never done anything wrong. But the landlord is still in the right.
Well, that's what concerns me, because in my situation, I paid the landlord a partial. Yeah. We made an arrangement, and then in making the arrangement,
when you make a payment plan, you have to stick to that payment plan. Isn't that a contract?
Well, it's on both sides.
Right.
It's on both sides. And so in sticking to that, when I'm speaking to the judge about some conversations and that we had made another arrangement, and I had it on the email. Well, it was clear everyone can see it, but I couldn't get it entered into. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible farce.
Yes.
Because it was not there.
Explain it.
No.
Each step to you, because they expect every normal person to know the law.
Well, it's not even a normal person, but as the lawyer said, under Code 33-13280,
Arizona Revised
yes,
Statute.
It says, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I may be a lawyer or have a legal background, but how many other men and women step in front of this table and don't? And are kind of like, what is going on here?
Yes.
I know this is what I did. This is what my landlord told me. And I trusted and believed in her.
Yes.
Like with my car, I trusted and believed when I said, have you towed my car? I know you were paving, but you're paving one day late.
That's your credibility.
Yeah, no, we didn't tow it.
If I were to lie about anything on the street, no one would believe me here. It's your credibility. And as a person, you're supposed to be a person in a higher regard.
Yeah, but I'm putting like a whoop, 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 because I think it's a little bit more than that. Yeah. In that you are violating my rights.
Civil rights.
You're violating my rights.
And your pursuit to happiness. That when you use that term, that pursuit to happiness, there's something about that. It just cuts it down. When you say I'm sorry, and it's an Arizona Revised Statute,
yeah, it is.
Look it up.
Yeah, well, it is. But I'm like, and I would say that in this term, the pursuit of happiness is safety, health,
welfare.
Yes, and I'm talking about when you're talking about the property, and that the landlord, as well as the tenant, are holding up their responsibilities.
That's like if the apartment were on fire, she would have left you in there to burn.
Exactly.
Or she would have told you that the apartment was on fire and it wasn't on fire.
Yeah. Well, to that regard, so the apartment that I lived in before, I had insurance, and I had a problem with my insurance. This is like a Kevin Hart, you know. My insurance came out of this checking account that had, I had a problem with my insurance, and my son had flooded my apartment. So when my son flooded my apartment, of course, they're like, do you have the $4,000? I'm like, excuse me, no. And so, yes, I know it was all bad. But then my next experience was I learned my experience, and I paid my insurance a year out. I paid my insurance for the whole term.
Yes.
But I didn't have to, because once I moved, under PB Bell, I had a secured bond. So the bond took care of everything no matter what.
Okay.
So that meant when they evicted me, the judgment was paid off. And I had also tried to pay her. She was like, don't pay me. The bond's going to pay that off. You're going to need that to move.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, everything was just mind-blowing.
Again.
Yeah. And so...
it puts you back.
Well, when I'm a credit checker. So I checked my credit, and I saw that they put it on there. And it was on there for about a week. And she told me, you're not going to be able to get anything. Well, if I have a bond, and the bond is to satisfy the judgment,
yes,
I'm confused. It shouldn't be on there. What would be the purpose of having it on there?
To mess up your credit.
Or as I go to the next place I go to look for housing, she explains to me that the way the way they're contractually and legally bound to not lease to anyone who's had an eviction in the past 6 months.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yes. So then to make matters even worse, I go to Budget Suites to rent a room, and this guy is like right in front of me, but I'd already reserved the room, and I don't want to call him a name, but he was an unsavory character, and he was renting a room, and I'm like, wait, that's my room that you're renting. And so she looked at me, and she whispers to him, I don't want her to rent a room. And so she proceeds to discriminate against me, and she was of my race, so I was concerned. So once the gentleman walked away, I walked up to her and I explained, I'm going to file a complaint against Budget Inn Suites. You're discriminating.
Yes.
And, if I've called, I made reservations, and I followed your policies by you not following your policies as well, if without a reason, it's discrimination. So it may be happening to me on, with this right now, but part of the reason why Jehovah was like, we're still going to talk about it, is because there's so many people going through this, or that know someone that's going to be going through or are going through this.
Is going through it.
And they don't understand that the Attorney General's Office, the Better Business Bureau, HUD, Housing Development, certain agencies are in place to assist you. Now, they're not really, they don't have the arms, so they don't do much.
Yes.
They can't reach out and destroy. They can't. I mean, generally, these businesses have restrictions on how many complaints they can have, during a quarter or a year.
Yes.
and they don't want the complaints because the complaints look horrible.
Right. True.
And as an employee, you don't want a complaint in your file because you won't get a review.
There it is.
See,
no grace.
These are all the reasons why you want to file a complaint when you're having problems.
Yes.
So why is it that many of us don't like to complain to the right entity, or why do we complain to the company or the landlord when it's not working?
There needs to be a higher structure.
Well, there is.
There's corporate commissions, that city. I've tried calling like 5 different spots.
I think consumers are just overwhelmed, and they think that we have no other place to go except to the landlord, to the mortgage company, to the bank, and that's not true. You have agencies that will help to govern and mediate issues between the two of you.
True.
And the reason why this is Phoenix Politics is because that's in the legislature. Yes.
Structure.
So the legislature has provided us the means to protect ourselves. So if you don't use it, these landlords get away with this, and then they become slumlords.
Right.
Which is really bad. Very
bad. And it's bad for our whole community. Because once one person does it, or they start influencing, which HOAs really do. You know, my HOA towed my vehicle right from my parking spot. And I don't understand that. How are you going to tow my vehicle? And what bothers me even more is once it was towed, that it's down there at, the famous ones that go in parking lots at night. I'm an advocate against these guys. And if your name or you're a visitor, they'll tow your vehicle in the middle of the night or while you're visiting someone.
Yes.
You know? Well, these guys came to my condos. They took my truck. They had it, and then tried to file for an abandoned title.
Yeah, that's what.
How do you file for an abandoned title? But hold up, I called the DMV and told them there's no abandoned title. You know it's been parked here at my house. I said I don't have it registered, but it has insurance.
Yes.
And as long as you're paying insurance on a vehicle in the state of Arizona, that shows ownership.
Yes. Well, oddly enough, on that same token, under HOAs, if you move and you're under an HOA and you don't have someone else to take over your lease or your mortgage immediately, you're still responsible for all the HOA fines and fees.
Yes.
To the point to where my mother had been living there and had been, left the house a year or two, and the house hadn't been really sold, and she was still responsible for HOA fees and fines.
Yes.
And the problem is in the original, and I'm not saying the problem, but the issue is the original contracts that you sign,
yes.
The covenants between you and the HOA, your mortgage documents. There are some things that protect you beforehand, like the Landlord-Tenant Act protects the tenant as well as the landlord.
Yes.
It doesn't provide as many tools to protect the tenant, and that's why I'm so pushing for people to get up and vote, because we need to get the right people into office that are looking for our best interests when it comes to deciding what the legislature is going to say is important as an act.
True. And Arizonans, we need to step up.
We need to step up.
Quit.
We need more than 10%. Yes.
Take 10 minutes.
Well, it's more than 10.
Advocate for yourself.
It's more than 10 because you need to
start out with 10 minutes.
Yeah, you need to research the laws because these laws are going to impact you and affect your life for years. Why wouldn't you want to know when you're going to pay extra tax?
Thank you.
Where you may not be able to go, or someone's going to charge you more.
And what happens if your landlord does raise your rent and doesn't give you a new lease? You guys better look into that one. Because I just looked into it and I found out my landlord's been up in my rent with no new lease, and found out that he's in violation. He has to pay me back all that money.
See, that's why I want to make it so clear. So we're going to go to break, but I want to make it clear that the contracts that you see are templates. That does not mean they cannot be changed. They cannot be negotiated. Any term in a contract can be amended, changed, negotiated, whited out. We've got to get it through our heads that we are in control just as much as they are. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio Show. Don't go anywhere. Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Take your life back.
Yeah, huh?
Look, I put this on today.
Oh, that's pretty.
This little bracelet.
That's so pretty.
That's amazing when I use something.
I know. Yeah. So Heidi and I are here in the studio. I'm pinning comments. Heidi and I are here in the studio. And we've determined that for this season, our whole goal was to be helping our people. So a lot of times you may be watching and not realize the value of something we're saying, but I promise you, if God brought you to watch this, there's someone that you know that's going to need something, and you're going to go, oh my goodness, Dr. Kim was just talking about that.
It's going to change the facts.
Yeah. My mother bought a house and had these...
I apologize, but we normally don't allow any in here at all, but if you can take all the stuff that's not covered and just leave it over there.
Sure will.
I know you guys
Can I put it over on this side?
So it's... No, it's got to be over here.
Okay.
There's too much electronics over here.
Okay.
So we got to be super
Okay.
diligent about that, just because a single drop of water can destroy
Yeah, I know.
everything.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I built this building. That's the P, right?
Can you sit right here while I move this? Yeah. Okay. Oh, yours can't spill. No, you can't. Here's your water right here. Here's your water. Here's your water.
See, you got us in trouble, dude. It's your fault. Because you want to act crazy all the damn time.
I know.
If you would have kept it on the DL, you better shut up. You messed it up for us. Look, you messed it up.
You want this or what? Stop it now or you're going to get spanked.
Here we
Here,
go.
stop.
Here we go. Come on, dude.
Because you need to get a nap. You have to stop or I'm going to...
Or you going to get some tequila next week.
Do you want to get spanking? Do you want to get spanking?
He needs one, the way you acting. Stop. Calm down.
Come sit down.
Oh my goodness, really?
Get up.
Shh. Oh, really? Let's go. Let's go. Get out of here. Get out. Shut up. Shh.
Be quiet, Mira.
Stop it.
See how important naps are now? Shush. Sorry.
You're going to fuck up this gig. You're going to be unemployed, dude.
No way. Mira's on one today. Mira's like, no, I ain't having it.
You better chill out. I'll get you. Stop. Dude,
Mira, stop it.
No.
Hand me the water.
Quit being a jerk.
Here. Stop crying.
Okay.
You cannot hold this. You can pour this out
Here.
because it makes too much noise.
You got us in
You don't
trouble.
mind. Pour it out right there.
That's Arizona Tenants.
Okay.
Shh. Advocates. Arizona Tenant Advocates. Great.
You want to sit right here? Punching shit.
I'm fine. Because he'll act crazy and then I get over there.
Not saying him.
Arizona Tenants' rights.
Hello, hello, hello. We're back again. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio.
Welcome.
I am your host, Dr. Kim.
And Heidi Jenkins. How are you doing?
How are you doing? And this is Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. So today we're talking about tenant versus landlord, but really the idea of, the leasehold owner. So the person who's occupying the property versus the person who's financing the property. And my goal is to let you know the tools that you have available to you and others to fight or combat, I don't want to say discrimination, but issues or conflicts in dealing with anything related to, like the landlord. For example, when you are in the process of an eviction, or not even eviction, you have the tool of using the justice court system, which is located in your jurisdiction, to file a complaint against your landlord, the mortgage company, the banker. You also have the ability to use the Attorney General's office, the Arizona Attorney General's office. And I don't want you to think that I can only file a consumer complaint, but there's a consumer complaint, a civil complaint, a criminal complaint. So often, businesses are quickly filing complaints against us for things and I don't want to say for things, but if you walk into the store and you take something out, that's theft.
Right.
Well, if you take something out of someone's checking account without their permission, I think that would be theft as well.
Yes, it is.
So if it's a bank and I'm like, when did I assign to say I would take, you could charge me $2.50 just to view my balance.
True.
Yeah, so all of these things are like, there's a gray line, things that companies get away with to us as consumers, and we don't have the knowledge that they shouldn't be doing this. Unfair practices, for example, going to get a house, going to get purchasing a home, and not being afforded or advised of the programs and services which could assist you in down payments. Any programs that could assist you in getting not just funded, but getting a lower interest rate.
Yes, lower interest rates, saving you money.
Yes. The denial of these programs being told to you.
And the grants. There's so many grants out there, it's ridiculous.
And the sad part is depending upon who and where you're working, who you're working with.
Yes.
And where you're at.
It's your knowledge
of what you're going to get.
Right.
And it could be the difference of a cost of a few $100s, few thousands of dollars, or in the long term, it could be the difference in few hundreds of thousands of dollars when you're talking about purchasing a home.
And you're talking over a 14, 15-year period, usually because I would stretch it out, especially if you're going to live there for a while.
Exactly.
Like I've lived where am I at?
Yeah. And so, and one thing I was saying was, my concern is I don't want this to be misconstrued that I'm fighting against the landlord. When I first.
And you tied a conflict resolution.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the most important thing, is trying a conflict resolution. There's got to be a way.
Well,
and especially when you come up with a resolution and then they don't adhere or, even advocate what they said they were going to do.
Well, my concern is that according to the law, with the shift that's going on in the economy and the amount of individuals who may be, losing their employment, losing their income source, and within a short period of time to be able to adjust oneself and then keep maintaining your residence when there's very few community resource programs that are out there
to help you. And everybody is like they say one paycheck away from being homeless.
Yeah, because the truth is, say for instance, you get paid this week, something happens, you lose your place.
You're done.
And you have to move next week, or you have to pay next week. You don't get a check to pay that next week.
Especially with deposits. I cannot believe how ridiculous it is. Every $45 just to get my credit run.
Well, that's crazy because you can get your credit for free.
No, when you go to rent someplace, every time they want to run your credit, it's a $45 application.
Well, that's why I also tell this. Okay, when you're going to get a place and you're looking, I think one of the most valuable tools is to get your credit. And not only to get your credit, but to download your credit report, print it,
so you have it
save
available.
it, and then not just have it available, but when you go to rent someplace,
have it there.
You send it to them or you give it to them.
Right.
Because that oftentimes will save you the $45 because the goal is they want to see, do you have your credit report?
Are you honest?
Yes. Yeah. And you want to show that right away. So here you go. So when they say, well, we normally would charge.
Which is making yourself very vulnerable.
What, showing your credit report?
Yes, because that just opens up your whole world.
Well, they're going to get it anyway. The difference is you paying for it and not paying for it.
But I'm saying, it just opens up your whole world. It's like, golly, I'm just renting the place.
Well, that's why you also should have, you should also monitor your credit.
Yes.
You should have an alert where they're letting you know if someone's reviewing your credit.
Yes.
And I'm only saying this because right now what we're seeing is there's a significant amount of identity theft.
True.
Companies that are, our information is being compromised. Yes. You want to know because your credit is so vital. I mean, the difference of having a credit score of 650 and a credit score of 5 is the difference of having a good life and struggling.
It is. But what cracks me up is like, I pay all my bills every month. I do everything. And I don't buy anything. I buy all my cars cash, or I just buy it out. I don't make payments for anything.
Well, that's part of the problem.
And that really does suck.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. Because my concern,
I don't see it as a problem. I don't owe anybody any money.
Yeah, but that's not the American way. The American way is that you owe someone
$7,000.
Well, it's not that you owe. We want to see that not only do you owe, but that you have a good payment history.
I do have a good payment history.
We want to see how you were we want to see how you are based on your payments.
I make my payments every month.
Okay, so same thing with the landlord. Like when I first moved in,
never been late.
There was an assumption that you are connected to somehow or another your payment.
Right, exactly. You are who you...
But that's not true.
Like where you live.
That's not true. There's so many things that are going on in people's lives and in our communities that you don't know who a person is based on their ability to pay or not. You've got people losing jobs.
But that's what they want to see in your credit history.
Yes. Well, that's why they need to have a balanced view. And, if someone does file a complaint, or if there is something on your credit from a housing issue or from, a landlord, you want to make sure that your statement is in your personal statement is in your credit report.
Yes. And so people need to be aware that this is what people are looking at in general as society.
Yes.
Which is a darn shame.
Because the truth is, if you have an eviction...
No, we should not be judged by a number.
Well, my thought is, if you have an eviction, you can't... The way it's working, it's very difficult to get a place for years.
Yes, for years. And it structurally puts you at a disadvantage.
And so, along those same lines, I know I hear a lot of people say you should save. Well, why are we save? How is that even an issue? The issue is we know that most people in America are going living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, so how can you save?
Yeah, it's a matter of, and then I hear, well, you're just not budgeting correctly. Well, a lot of times, if you're evicted, that kind of means you weren't anticipating something to happen.
Right.
No one purposely goes and gets evicted.
Bam, you're in the hole.
Yeah, no one purposely does that.
Thank you. You're like, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot just to make myself poor.
Yeah.
I want my credit score to go down, so I'm going to lose this place.
The way, I don't want to confuse anything, because the way the law is written now, you have very few options.
Very few options.
That's why it's so important and vital for us to get involved in politics.
Report your life.
You need to, yes. Getting involved in politics, finding out who's running for office, finding out what their candidates, what the terms, what they believe, how their moral values are. Don't just look at what they're saying. I know a lot of people are saying how the election went bad. That's because we were looking at what they were saying instead of looking at their record. We would have been able to see how they would have managed over a 4-year span if we've looked how they managed over a 4-year span in the past.
Or even a 40-year span
Amen.
in the past.
Yeah, so when it comes to whether it's landlords, whether it's, because it doesn't have to be an eviction. It could be you're trying to get something fixed.
Right.
It could be that your plumbing is always broke.
Oh, mine was.
Or like my mother had a lot of issues and things breaking in the house.
Right.
And they wouldn't fix them. Well, and they said, we're not fixing them per the new owner. Mm-hmm. We're not repairing it. But then when you move out, you're responsible for all that when it comes to your security deposit.
Exactly. You're responsible when it comes time for you to leave.
Yes. And it even states that in the act. So that's why my concern is you can battle so much with the way the act is written.
Right.
Your only tool is the administrative agencies, which is
Arizona Tenants Advocates.
Oh, wait, you have their number?
Yes, and their phone number is 480-557-8905.
Now, who is that?
Arizona Tenant Advocates. Okay. And they're in Tempe, and they're very, very good.
What do they do when I call them?
Oh, I called 2 different times. They sent me PDFs and printouts of, they sent me emails. They showed me everything I needed to get a 10-day notice to my landlord to fix the plumbing problem that I had. And the other part was to adhere to the lease.
Yes.
Because my landlord had, in 15 years, I'd never had but one lease.
Well, see, that's the crazy part, because...
And he walked in and gave me a lease last May, and then he told me it was a month to month.
Yeah, because he was trying to change it. Yeah, he was trying... Well, my concern is...
You can't just give me a year lease and then tell me it's a month to month.
Well, that's the problem. And the other thing is...
They change up what they want.
Yeah, I was having problems with my landlord. And the judge himself says to me, well, the act does prescribe that you have to provide a written notice. Well, I did. I sent it in an email, and I walked the letter over. It has to be certified. And they read it off to me. That has to be certified.
My landlord can send a certified letter, and I'm supposed to check my mail. I don't check my
concern
mail.
is how many of us are not consistently telling our landlord, this needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed, and trying to get these things taken care of.
Yep.
How many of us are just notifying them by making a call or sending them an email? Mm-hmm. And how do you know when you're going to be evicted based on something that may have gone wrong?
Right. Because you're following proper policies and procedures, and they don't want to adhere to it.
Exactly. That's why you need to get to know the Arizona Attorney General's Office, the Better Business Bureau,
Housing.
HUD, Arizona Tenants Association. And don't forget, it doesn't matter who you're working with. You can go to the Arizona Attorney General's office and file a consumer complaint.
Yes, you can.
A civil rights complaint.
You can tell them you've tried a conflict resolution, you feel you're being discriminated, and you're not getting fair housing.
Yes. I think us consumers are cheated, and it's time for us to stand up and say, I'm not taking any more. What you going to do? I'm filing a complaint against you. Amen. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio. Don't go anywhere. This is 1100 KFNX, Independent Talk.
Sweet.
Yeah, at least it goes kind of back.
Nice. The Civil Rights Division of the Arizona Attorney General's Office.
You got it?
Yeah, and her name is Chelsea. That's who runs that.
Oh, really?
I know.
Civil Rights Division, Chelsea runs it.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, because you... So,
Arizona Refi.
If any of you are watching and you have been watching either this show or the Phoenix Politics show, we're looking for guests. We don't rush to get celebrity guests and guests. We do know tons of celebrities. But our goal here is more to educate first and inform. I don't want to just come here and just entertain you and we all laugh and it's a good time. I mean, I would feel guilty because I didn't do anything to enrich your life and I paid to be on the station. So my goal is to equip you with the knowledge that you can get the job, like I said, get the job done. I think we believe that we're just at the bottom and we have no way out. And it doesn't matter where you live. Every city, every state has a jurisdiction that's literally given the task of governing businesses, agencies. We need to start using these entities to basically govern these agencies and these companies that are stealing our money. It's not legal to steal money just because you're a company. And entrepreneurs don't steal people's money. I mean, excessive fees, terms where you know they're not going to see. And that's another thing. Please read your contract. What is this? Yeah, okay, so Heidi wants me to read this. Consumer fraud is defined by the Arizona law as any deception, unfair act or practice, false statement, false pretense, false promise, or misrepresentation made by a seller or advertiser of merchandise. In addition, concealment, suppression, or failure to disclose a material fact may be consumer fraud if it is done with the intent that others rely on such concealment. I think we rely on the companies always being right, and we expect that they assume that we're going to be wrong. How do we fight the battle ourselves? That's not the case. We need to learn to stand up and fight. We need to use these agencies and recognize that even though the Attorney General's office or your local agencies for complaints may not be able to help you, like as much as like choke them, which is what you want to do, but companies do not want that blip on their record, and employees don't want that in their file. It keeps them from getting reviews, raises. Stop just talking smack to them and getting mad and fussing about it. Get on the websites. It takes less than 3 to 5 minutes to file a complaint. Look it up and see what it is. And the next time someone upsets you and in business, in the market, whether you're making a purchase, get on there, tell them you're going to file a complaint, and file a complaint. And I challenge you to see how much of a difference things will change. Here. Do not kick me.
Thank you.
Here. Oh, Heidi, what were you giving him?
I tried to be nice. Stop. No. Hey, I'll take you out of here, dude. Don't mess with me.
Here, we're coming back on.
I'm running this. You won't run me. You better learn.
Oh, my God.
I told you. Sit down, dude.
Go on the radio. Here we go, Mir.
I'm going to put him in the trash can.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Phoenix Politics Talk Radio. I am your host, Dr. Kim. We're going to put Amir in the trash can.
In the trash.
In the trash. And who's here with me in the house?
Heidi Jenkins.
Heidi Jenkins and Loud Amir.
Yes. How you guys doing today?
Yes. For those who do not know, this is Phoenix Politics, and
we're looking for a babysitter. Saturday afternoons about 12:30. Call me 602-434-1798. Mama needs your help. Probably need your Friday night too. You know what I mean? Why don't we just do a weekend? Thank you. Welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday, Heidi. And yeah, for those who don't know, Miss Clarissa Jenkins goes way back in the valley when it talks about talk radio or radio.
I had my own show here. You know when it was Renaissance Radio here at KFN.
Who?
Renaissance Radio.
I don't even know. How old? We ain't gonna talk about how old. That's like you're aging yourself.
No, I look like I could compete against 20.
Hey, no, you're not competing, girl. You've already done it.
I know. I could take it to the floor.
What they used to call you the.
I'm the black star, the dark side.
She used to be the rock girl.
Yeah, metal's finest, baby.
Amen.
These walls have seen a lot.
Amen.
It's hot in here.
It's hot in here. I know. We're bringing change because even though you don't recognize the value of what we've just talked about.
True.
You will once you file that first complaint, and you're going to go, oh my goodness, I did not.
Yes.
My grandmother, before she passed, rest her, God rest her soul.
Yeah, they're taking care of our.
Yeah, she used to tell me, file a complaint. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I worked for a company, and I was in the legal department,
And I did what you said.
Yes.
I tried to file a complaint.
And what happened?
A couple representatives. They didn't answer me.
No, you can't file.
Made me mad.
Yeah, no, you can't file a complaint with representatives. You have to go online.
I'm trying to go above levels.
Yeah, but it's a process. Everyone wants to go above, or they want to. The process is that you want to go to the administrative.
Call the consumer complaint, and their phone number 602 542-5763.
Now, who's that?
This is the Arizona Attorney General's office.
Oh, yes.
Yes, just call them.
Tell them Kim sent you.
Right. Because we're paying this money for their air conditioning, for their vehicles, for them to sit downtown. We're working our butts off.
Salaries.
Right.
Yes.
And then we can't even get everything that we're paying for.
Yes.
Because we're paying for other things.
Well, if you live in other cities and states, it may not be the Attorney General's office, maybe the Secretary of State. However, all you have to do is type in your state and then consumer complaints agencies, and it'll tell you who to complain to. And you want to do it in a formal setting where they have an online form.
And they do have an 800 number. It's 1-800-352-8431.
Yes, and that's the Arizona Attorney General's office.
Yes.
Now, obviously, if you're not in Arizona, because I do have some, non-local listeners, and it's the same everywhere you go. The purpose is not to just tell you the agency, but the purpose is do not sit down and take it any longer. Companies have no right to steal consumers' money.
It's a violation of your civil rights.
And they don't have a right to lie or conceal or defraud or misrepresent the value of a product because they're a business.
And it says, consumer fraud is defined by Arizona law as any deception, unfair act or practice, false statement, false pretense, false promise, or misrepresentation made by a seller or advertiser of merchandise.
Yes.
In addition to the concealment, suppression, or failure to disclose the material fact may be the consumer fraud. That is, and with any intent that others may rely on such concealment, suppression, or non-disclosure. So you cannot lie.
No.
You have
and
to
the problem
be
is,
completely open.
exactly, the issue is that everything is based on contract. So, before I get off the air, being of lawyer sound mind, please read the contract. So when you're looking at any contract, there's general terms in the back. Those are generally specific to almost every contract you're going to have. The first few terms are specific to your deal. Those terms you need to have read.
True.
You need to say, do I mind this? If the worst happens, could I handle this? Looking at the payments, because you can literally mark it out, write your initial, and say I need to negotiate it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it says that you have 12 months to do this. You have 13 months, because it could have they knew, because of this unfair act, they could have knew it was going to take 18 months and had you sign for 12.
Well, and the most insane part is that for some reason us consumers have been trained to think that we really have no avenue
But protect yourself.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. What do I do? And the most we know is to contact the supervisor. And then when the supervisor says, no, that's the way it goes, and we're keeping your and it's never like a small amount. It's like, we're keeping your $5,200. What? You're not keeping my $5,000. I don't care. Yeah, no. That's why the purpose of the agency works to benefit you, because, and you don't need to be afraid to use it. You want to let them know, hey, you know what? I'm going to file a complaint at the Arizona Attorney General's office to get this situation taken care of.
Very much so.
You don't want to be sneaky and file an anonymous. You can even do a criminal complaint. Someone steals something from you, a friend, a family member. As much as we would not like to do these things, the truth is, if you do these things, if you steal from someone, I promise you,
it'll come back.
And they're going to hold you accountable.
Very much so.
So you might as well hold them accountable when they're doing it to you.
Right.
That way they have the chance to learn from their mistake.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to learn what's right and what's wrong.
Yes. Now, really quick before I leave, the contracts.
Yes.
So for some reason, consumers, tenants, all of us on this side of the table have this belief that when a contract's put in front of you, you just have to read it and sign.
Oh.
Like, because it's a template and it's typed in words and it looks really nice and it's got 12-point font, you're supposed to just read it and go, okay, and then sign and surrender and accept every term. That's not the way it works. It's just that we accept that we're the underdog. Right. We're not the underdog. We have just as much ability to negotiate the contract.
Very much so.
And if we're not getting the terms that we want, we can find another person.
Right, to read.
Exactly, within the company or another company. And yes, and if it's getting really crazy and you're trying to negotiate terms or you're having an issue with the bank, the landlord, that's when you want to get the agency involved.
Right, because that's where your conflict resolution comes in.
You can still work with that company. You can still work with them. Yes. And a lot of times people think that if they've complained, they can't work with them. That's wrong. It's like when you see on the news the restaurants who failed
their dirty dining.
Yes. I can guarantee you for the next 3 months you could eat there and you wouldn't have anything your food would be perfect because they're scared to death of losing their license.
Business.
Yes. So when you're complaining, that's the time when you want to work with them. You're like, okay, this is what you're going to do for me now.
Review.
Yes. And they can't retaliate.
Thank you.
So there are times when they retaliate.
Just like these bed bug spots.
Yes.
That's another thing. That's what people really need to be worried about is these bed bugs. I know so many people that are living in bed bug infested condominiums and homes, or apartments.
And it's crazy because
like those ones on 19th Avenue in Northern.
Well, the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act provides that the landlord is supposed to provide a safe, health. I mean, it even talks about the infestations being under control or the landlord, and they're not, and no one's doing any. Right. We're not getting up and saying, "Hey, it's your responsibility."
Girlfriend
to come in and
lived there 3 weeks, and it was infested. She took them to court, and they went for the landlord. The poor girl lost everything, and they still made her fulfill her monthly.
Because what you're supposed to do before they take you to court is you're supposed to file a notice of the tenant. I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I did. So even when you're doing everything right, things are all stacked up against you. So you can imagine when you're not doing things right, how they're stacked up against you. But you need to know that you have these tools because these are the only tools that are available to you until we get the right people in office.
That's to make change. We gotta make change.
We need more balance.
We need to be more advocates for ourselves.
That's my goal. I think when I laid down and decided what do I do with the show, that's my whole purpose is to teach, use the political world, use politics as well as our understanding of the law to advocate for ourselves in legal situations, and to fight for yourself.
And to be aware of how to fight for yourself. It's not only fighting for yourself, but how to legally to handle it.
Yes.
Because you can't just stand around screaming like I do.
No, and the saddest part is screaming is not going to do anything for your credit report because they're still going to say, ma'am, could you move over? We have 5 other people that are ready to scream behind you and we don't care about you not living anywhere.
Get over there. Get out of the corner.
Yes. Now, before we get off the show really quick, I want to bring something to your attention. We are going to be having a 4-part series on CPS, who governs Child Protective Services. Of course, they're not Child Protective Services anymore. We are going to be bringing some specialists in. We're going to be bringing in some parents. And I have 2 apps that are going to equip parents with the tools to advocate for themselves when it comes to CPS and family court issues. I mean, the app is good. It's got a recorder in it. It's got an activity log because what you find out is everything is stacked against us. If we don't learn to advocate for ourselves, they're going to kill us.
And I've learned this.
And you can cry, you can march, you can complain all you want to. If you don't know how to advocate, you're lost.
Right. And it's very hard. So good luck.
Good luck.
Bless you guys.
Don't go anywhere and don't keep the information to yourself. If there's someone you know that needs to be empowered, spread the love. Phoenix Politics Talk Radio, power to the people, independent talk, 1100 KFNX. See you Saturday.
You keep talking.
Gotta go.